back-to-back episodes. I'm actually going to try to release these almost the same time. I did just take my jacket off. I was getting a little warm right now. I'm actually going to be trying all of my different camera lenses and kind of letting you guys see the looks on them over the 6 that I have. So this is currently the 18-35, and it's right around that 28 focal range. And this is going to be a very hard test to do with a couple of these. But I'm going to leave the camera in the exact same spot. I'm going to try to more or less match the settings. Right now I'm shooting at 1/50, 4.5, and my ISO is set at 640. And like I said, the focal range is 28. That I can't keep the same through all of these camera lenses. So I'm going to pop the lenses off and on. The camera's going to be in the exact same location. I'm going to try to kind of keep myself somewhat in frame as best as I can and let you guys kind of compare to see what you think that it looks. Usually on this lens, especially whenever I go out super wide, I do notice some distortion in the lines either of shelves or of the walls and everything. But right now at 20, you probably won't see much of that. And if you guys have any questions over these lenses, like I asked in the last video about either why I chose them or where they came from, just let me know down below and I'll be happy to answer those. So let's try out my next lens, the 28-85. Why is my camera battery always dying as soon as I try to get into something? That is on me. So this is a 28-85, again at f4, 1/50, 64, and the focal range is right about 28. So don't want to, it was super zoomed in, so I'm really kind of worried about this one. I'm trying to keep it out there. So this one, same thing. If you kind of look at how the lines are maybe being distorted on the camera shelving, maybe right there, there is just a slight kind of unlevelness to them, so take that into effect. But you can kind of look at the walls and they're not exactly on the edge. So, but here's how this lens looks. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the 70-210. So this is the 70-210. Very sorry, not a lot of view room, so you're getting very much of a close-up of my face right now. So sorry about that. You can maybe kind of see the shadow. Oh geez, I have such a small little view right here of the kind of shadows and how they're kind of maybe going off. You can see the depth of field and everything going on, just how shallow that is. My hand is literally like right, like maybe 1.5 feet away from my face, compared to my face, and then the background and how that looks. So that's how this lens kind of looks. So now let's shift over to the 24 prime lens and see how that one looks. Okay, now here is the 24, obviously at 24 since it is a prime lens, and you can kind of see my Grogu. So this is the lightest I have shot all night. Just got him picked up from my girlfriend, so he's kind of tucked away right there next to my wall for now until we get him stored away somewhere else. So if you have any like Mandalorian questions, really kind of am thinking about like reviewing some popular shows and just kind of how they're shot and like what I kind of think about how they set it up and how they did the camera angles. Because I've been enjoying that lately, old movies to current TV shows. The latest one, WandaVision, kind of blew my mind with the way that they were able to do that on the same camera in a whole bunch of different lens systems or lens setups, so to speak. So this is a 24, so you can kind of see how it looks in the corners, on the walls. And like I said, I wish this wall was more over here in the corner so you can see that. But this is how this particular lens look. So now let's switch over to the 50. Okay, and now here is the 50. Same settings, trying to keep those consistent for everybody. Here's how it looks. This is honestly probably one of my favorite lenses for shooting video on. It's just got a very nice look to it, and I really kind of enjoy like the fall off, and there's very little distortion. It's actually a very clean, sharp lens. So this is one of my favorite ones out of my 6 right now. and there's only about 2 or 3 lenses that I'm kind of missing from my ultimate lineup that is going to ultimately kind of, I think, just be all the lenses that I want to own for now until forever, basically. Excluding, I do want to try the Nikon Z series, so I may pick up a couple Z lenses whenever I get into that. Probably would not get rid of my D750. Probably just going to add that second camera body. Looking at a Z6, maybe Z5. I just need a fully articulating screen. Nikon and almost every other camera manufacturer give us what we want. I'm sure there's probably logistics into why they haven't done that across almost every camera lineup yet, so we'll have to see those. But this is the this is the 50mm on the D750. So I was trying to kind of say in my head, so to speak. If you guys, like I said, have any questions over these lenses, how they look, or if you want to see me shoot on them more or less, kind of get me looking. Sorry, I'm kind of looking up to you. I'm very curious myself, because this is the first time that I've had them all 6 just back to back to back. Usually I kind of get in there and just use the one lens and kind of like, okay, or I have it set up, I'm like, alright, now what lens do I want to use to show off this scene, or compress and kind of hide the scene, so to speak, if there's a busy background going on, or if there's something that I want to show. So the last one, and probably the hardest, where did it go? Oh, it's over here in the case. The hardest one. Oh, if you guys are curious about how I store my lenses and how I clean them, watch the last video. But if you guys want like an in-depth look at my little video, you can't even see it on this level. I'll have to switch back later. If you guys are curious about my little video case and what all is in that, that's where I keep my, basically all my prime lenses go into there. So if you guys are curious about that and how I have that set up, probably will show you guys in the future. So, now then, 135 prime lens. So this is the 135, and if you notice, kind of my hand right here is basically out of focus. It's about 4 or 5 inches from my face. And then you've got the background behind me and how that kind of looks. Super close up to my face, I'm sorry. Like I said, I try to keep the distance about the exact same, so this is kind of what a 135 looks, but I just love the background and how kind of soft and everything blurs together. This is one of my favorite lenses for that reason, because not only is it a kind of a shallow lens, but just because it's in that it's in that telephoto lens focal range, it very much, it compresses the background, kind of giving you that creamier depth of field view, not only because of the shallowness of the aperture, but because of how it compresses everything. So this is how this lens looks, and I wish I could kind of give you guys a wider picture to maybe see any kind of like distortion and fall off better. But like I said, that's kind of what it looks like with my hand, and my hand literally out of frame, but it's about to there, so to speak. So that's like very much like maybe a head, and out of focus, in focus. I mean, that is literally just a few inches, and the same thing kind of falling back off into there. So that's how this lens looks, and I wish I could give you, like I said, a wider field of view, but I'm kind of leaning back in my chair already just to kind of get my eyes and everything. Would I shoot like this? No, but I may have it set off to the side, like I said, just fully focusing on the subject, because now you're drawn to me. Now my headroom is totally off, but your focus is entirely on me, so I would use this for interviews where I don't want the background to distract the audience during a particular line. So now let's switch back to the 18-35 and kind of get back to normal, so to speak. Okay, so that was the 135. So try to keep everything, like I said, close to the same so you guys could kind of have a look at my lens setup and what all I am using. One thing, like I said, to keep in mind too, and I might have mentioned it in my last video over kind of lens cleaning, is that focal breathing room. This lens is probably has the largest focal breathing room, and what that is what I'm doing right here is simply racking focus. And let me kind of put the lens head back where it normally belongs. This does have a built-in lens hood, which I absolutely love. So if you look here, that's from Infinity, and I'm going to cycle all the way up to as close as it can get, which is like 1.3 meters, and you can see just how wide that was. Some lenses don't have a very large focal breathing room. This one kind of does too. That distance right there. And you'll notice whenever you are pulling focus, this one has a very, very small, and of course if it's 24, it's a wide lens. But just, we're talking like maybe a couple centimeters on that focal breathing room. What that also does though is whenever you are pulling focus and you're setting up a shot, if it has a very long focus wheel pull, that can also shrink and or widen your image a little bit on your focal length unintentionally, just due to pulling that focus. So keep that in mind too whenever you're looking at a lens. Like, you know, this is like a 24 and it's going to look like a 24, or that's like an 18 to 35. But whenever you pull focus, is that going to change the image any? So that might have to like be pulling the camera back or taking it back in a foot or two to keep that shot ready, or shot steady, if you were trying to just cut something off, or if you were trying to totally keep something in frame. So you want to keep that in mind. Most of mine are not that big, except for probably on that 135, maybe that 210. They're the largest ones. Usually the longer the focal range, the wider, not necessarily the longer the focal range, but just the focusing distance, which usually equates to that longer focal range, usually have more focal breathing room. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you guys are curious more in-depthly about any of these lenses, how I use them, why I chose them, make sure you comment that below. Would love to show you guys that. And if you want to see my kind of video case setup where I keep my prime lenses at, my telephoto lenses go in my camera bag, which I kind of covered in the last video. If you guys have any other questions, Nikon related, as far as the gear that I own, would love to help you guys out with that. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.